So we are on Rules of the Game Day 2, which will be taking us to our L6 assignment. So we are going to continue reading, and we're going to identify the points of view in the story, read, summarize, and analyze rules of the game. Those are our desired results. So just some review. Our words are benevolently, which is in a manner which is well-meaning and kindly. Malodorous, which is an adjective, which means very unpleasant smelling. Adversary, which is one's opponent in a contest, conflict, or dispute. Benefactor, a noun, a person who gives money or help to a person or cause. And pungent, an adjective having a sharply strong taste or smell. So the author of our story of Rules of the Game is Amy Tan, and we discussed that our story is told from the first person perspective. So we're going to keep reading today, and then I'll introduce your lesson 6 activity. My mother patted the flour off her hands. "Let me see the book," she said quietly. She scanned the pages quickly, not reading the foreign English symbols, seeming to search deliberately for nothing in particular. "This American rules," she concluded at last. "Every time people come out from foreign country must know rules. You not know, judge say, too bad, go back. They not telling you why, so you can use their way, go forward. They say, don't know why, you find out yourself. But they knowing all the time. Better you take it, find out yourself." She tossed her head back with a satisfied smile. "I found out all about the whys later. I read the rules and looked up the big words in the dictionary. I borrowed books from the Chinatown library. I studied each chess piece, trying to absorb the power each contained. I learned about opening moves and why it's important to control the center early on. The shortest distance between 2 points is straight down the middle. I learned about the middle game and why tactics between two adversaries are like clashing ideas. The one who plays better has the clearest plans for both attacking and getting out of traps. I learned why it is essential in the endgame to have foresight, a mathematical understanding of all possible moves, and patience. All weaknesses and advantages become evident to a strong adversary and are obscured to a tiring opponent. I discovered that for the whole game, one must gather invisible strength and see endgame before the game begins. I also found out why I should never reveal why to others. A little knowledge withheld is a great advantage. One should store for future use. That is the power of chess. It is a game of secrets in which one must never show and never tell. What rules has Waverly learned so far? So we really see her mom really talking about the rules of not only the game, but the American way of living. So she goes on to really say that there are rules that you must follow in America, and you can't really get by saying, "Oh, I didn't know." It's really something that you need to make sure that you understand the rules all the time so that you can have some semblance or some control. I loved the secrets I found within the 64 black and white squares. I carefully drew a handmade chessboard and pinned it to the wall next to my bed, where I would stare for hours at imaginary battles. Soon, I no longer lost any games or lifesavers, but I lost my adversaries. Winston and Vincent decided they were no more interested in roaming the streets after school in their hop-along Cassidy cowboy hats. On a cold spring afternoon, while walking home from school, I detoured through the playground at the end of our alley. Saw a group of old men, two seated across a folding table playing a game of chess, others smoking pipes, eating peanuts, and watching. I ran home and grabbed Vincent's chess set, which was bound in a cardboard box with rubber bands. I also carefully selected 2 prized rolls of lifesavers. I came back to the park and approached a man who was observing the game. "Want to play?" I asked him. His face widened with surprise, and he grinned as he looked at the box under my arm. "Little sister, been a long time since I played with dolls," he said, smiling benevolently. I quickly put the box down next to him on the bench and displayed my retort. Lao Po, as he allowed me to call him, turned out to be a much better player than my brothers. I lost many games and many lifesavers, but over the weeks, with each diminishing roll of candies, I added new secrets. Lao Po gave me the names, the double attack from the east and west shores, throwing stones and drowning man, the sudden meeting of the clan, the surprise from the sleeping guard, the humble servant who kills the king, sand in the eyes of advancing forces, a double killing without blood. There are also fine points of chess etiquette. Keep captured men in neat rows as well-tendered prisoners. Never announce check with vanity, lest someone with an unseen word slit your throat. Never hurl pieces into the sandbox if you've lost a game, because then you must find them again by yourself after apologizing to all around you. Lao Pa taught me all he knew, and I had become a better chess player. So we know that she was able to keep sharpening her chess skills even after her brothers lose interest of hanging out with her by going to the playgrounds and getting this man to play with her. And she starts to learn more rules about the actual game of chess and actually some like etiquette rules for playing with others. A small weekend crowd of Chinese people and tourists would gather as I played and defeated my opponents one by one. My mother would join the crowds during these outdoor exhibition games. She sat proudly on the bench telling my admirers with proper Chinese humility, "Is luck." A man who watched me play in the park suggested that my mother allow me to play in a local chess tournament. During my first tournament, my mother sat with me in front row as I waited for my turn. I frequently bounced my legs to unstick them from the cold metal seat of the folding chair. When my name was called, I leapt up. My mother wrapped something in her lap. It was her Chang, a small tablet of red jade which held the sun's fire. "Is luck," she whispered, and tucked it into my dress pocket. I turned to my opponent, a 15-year-old boy from Oakland. He looked at me, wrinkling his nose. As I began to play, the boy disappeared. The color ran out of the room. I only saw white pieces and his black ones waiting on the other side. A light wind began blowing past my ears. It whispered secrets only I could hear. "Blow from the south," it murmured. "The wind leaves no trail." I saw a clear path, the traps to avoid. The crowd rustled. "Shh, shh," said the corners of the room. The wind blew stronger. There was sand from the east to distract him. The night came forward ready for sacrifice. The wind hissed, louder and louder. "Blow, blow, blow." "He cannot see. He's blind now. Make him lean away from the wind so he is easier to knock down." "Check," I said as the wind roared with laughter. The wind died down to little puffs, my own breath, as my mother placed my first trophy next to a new plastic chess set that the neighborhood Tao Society had given me. As she wiped each piece with a soft cloth, she said, "Next time, win more, lose less." "Ma, it's not how many pieces you lose," I said. "Sometimes you lose pieces to get ahead. Better to lose less. See if you really need." At the next tournament, I won again, but it was my mother who wore the triumphant grin. "Lost 8 pieces this time, last was 11. What'd I tell you? Better off lose less." I was annoyed, but I couldn't say anything. So you have to think about how her mom is treating her now during these tournaments. And again, her mom still has those like rules and kind of thinks that she knows it all, even though that she doesn't play chess. She kind of gives her these like little quips of um, like criticisms, but kind of like also trying to help her. I attended more tournaments, each one farther away from home. I won all games in all divisions. The Chinese bakery downstairs from our flat displayed my growing collection of trophies in its window. Amidst the dust-covered cakes that were never picked up, the day after I won an important regional tournament, the window encased a fresh sheet cake with whipped cream frosting and red script saying, "Congratulations, Waverly Jong, Chinatown chess champion." Soon after that, a flower shop, headstone engraved, and funeral parlor offered a spot to sponsor me in national tournaments. That's when my mother decided I no longer had to do the dishes. Winston and Vincent had to do my chores. "Why does she get to play and we do all the work?" complained Vincent. "It's no American rules," said my mother. "May may play, squeeze all her brains out for win chess. You play, worth squeeze towel." By my 9th birthday, I was a national chess champion. I was still some 429 points away from grandmaster status, but I was touted as the great American hope, a child prodigy, and a girl to boot. They ran a photo of me in Life magazine next to a quote in which Bobby Fischer said, "There will never be a woman grandmaster." "Your move, Bobby," said the caption. but I found it difficult to concentrate at home. My mother had a habit of standing over me while I plotted out my games. I think she thought of herself as my protective ally. Her lips would be sealed tight, and after each move I made, a soft would escape from her nose. "Ma, I can't practice when you stand there like that," I said one day. She retreated to the kitchen and made loud noises with the pots and pans. When the crashing stopped, I could see out of the corner of my eye that she was standing in the doorway. Only this came out of her tight throat. My parents made many concessions to allow me to practice. One time I complained that the bedroom I shared was so noisy that I couldn't think. Thereafter, my brother slept in a bed in the living room facing the street. I said I said I couldn't finish my rice. My head didn't work right when my stomach was too full. I left the table with half finished bowls and nobody complained. But there was one duty I couldn't avoid. I had to accompany my mother on Saturday market days when I had no tournament to play. My mother would proudly walk with me. So we will continue reading this story next week. But it is important to think about the way that her life and expectations have been changing at home. So she no longer has to do as many chores. She gets her own room. She's able to tell her mom to kind of go away. And she doesn't have to finish her meals anymore. So she's kind of treated in this new, different way, as well as getting a lot of public attention. So what we're going to do is you're going to complete your lesson 6, where you will be either picking one choice. You are either picking to write 3 things that stand out to you from the story so far. You are either going to pick to draw, create, or make a collage of 3 things that symbolize what you've seen so far. Or you can record yourself describing 3 things that have really stood out to you so far.